pocket, so be quiet. All right, if you still need pizza, go ahead and get your pizzas. Let's quieten it down at the pizza shop over there. I don't want to call any names out loud. All right, guys, thank you for a good attendance today. I hope you enjoy your pizza and your dessert. And remember, it's all for you. I mean, it's your association. It's not the executive board's association. It's your association. All right. All right. Still need some quiet over at the pizza table, so everybody can hear. The agenda will follow like this. I still want to get a lot of training in, so we're going to move quickly today. We're going to do the election first. It's going to be followed by the commissioner. Be quiet, please. The agenda is going to look like this. We're going to go through the election. We have two offices, two positions that are contested. Well, I'm sorry, three. The three, of course, would be at-large, treasurer, and interpreter. The president's position, vice president, secretary, there are no one else running for those offices. They'll still be on balloteer, which will begin at 11:59 tonight. Will stay in effect for 7 days. Those results will come to me and to Craig Turner to oversee. It's pretty straightforward. You can only vote once. How do I know you can only vote once? Because I tried. You can only vote once. It'll kick you out. The agenda, again, will be the election, followed by the commissioner. If you have any questions for the Treasury, the interpreter's office has put everything as a courtesy online. So you should have gotten all of that information from his report for today. All right, I think now what we'll do is send it out to them too to make sure that they get it. When you get your balloteer, most of you are familiar, you get an email. There's a password to go on there, and that's your last name and your last four, your social security number to make it secure. It goes to an independent site, and then that site adds and tabulates all that information up for us. That we currently pay for, so we're going to use it. All right, any questions? A show of hands, please. Who would be interested in having a end of the year banquet? I think I asked before, but a show of hands, who in here would like a end of the year banquet? Who would be interested in it? All right, lower your hands, please. The second question as far as banquet. Due to the sheer number of individuals in our association who would have no issue of $10 coming out of their end of the year checks or some dollar amount to help with this banquet. That's just, and I have put together a committee of individuals looking to do that, along with our Fridays that we go out and eat together, that you're invited to, each and every one of you, and we're going to continue those things. All right, I'm going to move quickly with this election, and this is how this thing is going to go. We're going to start with the interpreter's office. The two individuals is our incumbent, Mr. Stone, and the individual who is running for that office is Damon Allen. And what we're going to do is the incumbent will go last, as we stated. Damon will have 10 minutes. 10 minutes to give you information. After that 10 minutes, if there's questions, you can ask those questions of Damien. Mr. Stone will come and then have 10 minutes for his, and then questions from you. At the end of that, I'll ask Damon and Mr. Stone to go out. If you have any one of you members wish to voice your opinions about something, then you can, and then we'll bring them back in. Now we hope that this doesn't take long because I want to get training in, right? I stress on that. Secondly, will be treasurer. It'll be the same process, 10 minutes, questions. When we go to the at-large folks, there are 6 individuals running for 4 positions. They will have 5 minutes. 5 minutes. And we'll do the same process. So let's make sure this thing is smooth. So let's not have a bunch of crazy stuff, because some years ago, before I got, was president, crazy questions thrown out there. This and that. It should be relevant. I'm not telling you not to ask questions or what have you, but it should be relevant. Because we're all adults here. And that's the way it should be. And that's the way I'm going to enforce it. All right? So let's start. Ready? Oh, I forgot to mention one thing. Make sure your cell phones are on vibrate or mute. If there's any interruptions, Aaron has already told me you fired for the rest of the year. That was a joke, but I will impose a fine if the phone goes off.
Did y'all see him hit me? Did y'all see him hit me? All right, just kidding. A new day, a new way. A new day, a new way. Good evening. First of all, my name is Damon Allen. For those that do not know me, I've been a member of the board. This is my 11th season. I am a police officer with Henrico and have been so for 23 years. I have been nominated and have accepted the nomination and have chosen to run for the position of rules interpreter. And the first thing I want to address is, why would I want to be the rules interpreter? Our current interpreter has been in position for a number of years and has done a good job. And he's been a mentor to me, and he's helped me along the way. So it was a difficult decision to accept the nomination and to make the decision to run against him. But with that, or the flip side of that is that I have to understand that change is inevitable. And all good things come to an end. So with that, and out of respect for Jerry, I called him and let him know what my intentions were. And I think we would be remiss as a board if we allowed Jerry to walk away whenever he chooses to walk away without being in a position for us to make a smooth transition as a board. When I became a detective, we had a number of veteran detectives, and I was fortunate enough to have a veteran detective train me. But when those that came after me, we had a number of veterans that walked out of the door. And as an agency, we were not prepared to make the transition and to evolve as an agency in the detective division. And so when all those guys walked out, we weren't prepared because we didn't train the younger folks. And so we had a big drop off. And it affected us in how we did our job. So with that, I feel the time is now for a new day, a new way, for us to make that transition. Because basketball is continuously evolving, and we have to evolve with it. We can't be a step behind. We have to be at least even, but better yet, we want to be the best board in the state, so we want to be a step ahead. Also, why I want to be the interpreter. It's a challenge for me. In life, we have to accept new challenges, embrace new challenges. And as a board, we have to challenge ourselves to get better, to always be trying to move forward and to advance. It brings me intrinsic value. It makes me feel good. Throughout the year, officials on this board call me, ladies and guys, who call me and ask me rules questions. And it makes me feel good because I know that they have the faith in me and they trust me to give them the right answer. And if I don't know the right answer, to get it for them. It also makes me feel good when I'm in a game and we're pre-gaming and the official or the R says, you know, if we have a rules issue tonight, we have our rules guy with us. And that makes me feel good. What are my qualifications? Well, first of all, like I said, I like to consider myself to be a rules guy. I study, I stay in the book. My test scores. Every year, I routinely score 100 or high 90s on the test. I conduct and I also participate in rule sessions throughout the summer. I attend different camps and I've spoken at various camps on rules and held rule sessions at various camps. And so those things I feel make me qualified to be the rules interpreter. The next question I would say is, what do I bring to the board? Would answer. I've been on the board for 11 years, and now I feel that I'm in a position to give back to the board. And as an official, I want to be a good steward of the game. And as a good steward, we want to give of our time, our talent, and our treasure. Well, I don't have any treasure, so the only thing I can give you is my time and my talent. If I am elected, it's my job, and I feel it is my duty to serve the board with honor, professionalism, commitment, compassion, and accountability. And if I'm elected, what I will do is lean on Jerry for what he's done and all the wisdom and the talent that he's brought to the board for so many years. Mix a little bit of the old school with the new ideas that I have, combine it with a little bit of the new school so we can develop a system of best practices as we continue to move forward as a board. Some of the things I propose to do if I'm elected is to implement more three-man training for the younger officials. Sometimes we bring folks up to three-man and they're not sure what to do. So I want to help to develop that. Also include an in-service training of three-man for the board because we have veteran officials here. You go into one game with one crew, they work three-man one way. You go into another crew, they work three-man another way. And if I polled the entire board, I can tell you there's probably about 4 or 5 different ways that we work three-man. One of the other things I want to do, game tape breakdown. When we come to these meetings, we should be breaking down plays, looking at plays. I want to get tapes from our games, okay? A lot of times we end up having to show NCAA film or film that doesn't really, it pertains to us, but we kind of have to tweak it and explain it. But I want to look at our own film and look at what we're doing and break those down. And even when it comes to rules, sometimes we apply a rule, we might know the rule and apply it, but it might not be the right time to apply that rule. So we want to do that with a rule analysis. For example, it might be a technical foul. Yeah, the person did something that violated the rule that put us in a technical foul situation, but did we need to put the technical foul there at that time in the game? Was it warranted? Was it defendable? Okay, and can we explain it? So things like that we want to do. Incentives. I want to come up with some incentive measures to keep us engaged in the rules. We don't want to just look at it as a chore. When we see sometime the plays of the week and we have a list of 10 or 15 plays, sometimes it's a chore and we don't feel like looking at it. But if we put some incentives to it and we say, hey, let's make it fun. I have to come up with ways to engage the board and make it fun for us. Maybe some rules contests, some things that will help us make it all fun. I would also request some ideas from the executive board and ideas from the members at large. What do you want to see from the rules interpreter? I don't think we always do that where we reach out to the board and the members and say, hey, what is it that you would like to see to help us stay engaged as the board? Also, I would like to implement a system of goals. where we receive the goals from each and every official, and then we write it down, we submit it in writing. And I want to know what your goal is as an official, and we want to help you reach those goals. I often hear officials, as I talk throughout the board, I'm not getting opportunities to move to the next level. But what is your goal as an official? Your goal may be to stay where you're at, and that's fine. But we want to help you be the best official that you are and help you reach your goal. Some of you want to grow and go, and that's great. Some of you all want to move to the next level. And I think that as the interpreter, I can put you in a position or try to help you get to the next level as to where you want to go. Or if you want to stay where you're at, help you be the best at where you're at. Some of you all want to stay as a JV official or a girls official for whatever reason. Maybe it's your schedule, or maybe that's just what you like to do. And maybe you don't want to become the AAA. Maybe you don't want to work the state finals, and that's fine too. But I want to help you be the best official that you want to be. So I want to see your goals, present them to the board, each and every official, and then we try to address each official to help them develop them. I want to be the AAA. When you are broken down on the side of the road, you want to call AAA to get you back on the road in the right direction. Well, that's what my job to do as the interpreter. Get you back on the road and get you in the right direction. My AAA is being accountable, being approachable, and being available. As the rules interpreter, you'll be able to call me 24 hours a day. That's what I do as a police officer. My phone is always on. Call me in the middle of the night. You got a play on your mind? You got a rule on your mind? Call me. It happens now. Then I also want to be in relationship with all of the members of the board. I feel as a junior guy that I have relationship with the senior members of the board, the people that are in my group, and as well as the younger folks. And I also want to be approachable. I try to be friendly to everyone. I see you, hey, how you doing? My thing is speaking to everyone and having a relationship with everyone. So that way you feel comfortable in coming to me and speaking to me and asking me a question. And those here that I know and speak to all the time, you know that's how I am. I try to be consistent as to who I am as a person. With that, I just look forward to a new day, a new way, some new ideas, and hopefully you all will elect me as your interpreter. I thank you, and at this time I would open up for any questions.
Any questions for Damien?
I see Mr. Von Quash standing. Oh, okay.
Questions? All right, thanks.
Thank you all. A new day, a new way.
All right, Mr. Stone.
Yep, you ready?
Song? I should say a new day, a new way, but not today. Maybe tomorrow, maybe in 2021, but not today. I'll put some information together so you can read it. This is primarily for Farrah and Foster because they can't hear a word I'm saying. And when he thought I was through. But anyway, first of all, I've told you guys every year, ladies, that it is an honor for me to be interpreter, and that thought remains in my head. And with that being said, I've got some things that I need for you to read, and I've put these thoughts together for you. You can see the things that are bolded up there, points 2, 3, and 4. The development of contacts with the VHSL, NFSX, and the IBO people for the purpose of professional resource information. To be the point person for the rookie training class and to work with the membership committee and to work with the training committee to improve the quality of officiating and to enforce the use of proper mechanics. Those are my charges in the Constitution. We have a training committee that is in charge of the training. My job is to be a member of that training committee. Haywood and Jerry and Vaughn do an excellent job of putting that together. In fact, for years, without getting too much off script, it was the interpreter that was doing everything. And for those folks that have been on the executive committee a while, you know that I'm a guy who tried to get that concept negated. We needed more people involved. So we tried to separate the interpreter's position and the training position. And we now have a training committee that's very effective, and I'm simply a member of that training committee. But those 3 points that are bolded are in the Constitution. The other 2 points, number 1 and number 5, are things that I think are equally as important and potentially more important when it comes to dealing with the membership. First of all, you got to be available for the members to contact when they have rule book, case book, and mechanics manual questions. And certainly those of you that contact me during the year know that I'm available. I've gotten calls at 9 o'clock in the morning, and I've gotten calls at 11 o'clock at night. And I almost always answer the phone. And I'm one that if you don't know the answer, I'll get it back to you in another hour if you're going to be up. But I'll find the answer for you. Secondly, it's my job to keep the website updated with information, articles on current issues, IBO plays of the week, and other pertinent information that we have on mycvboa.net. So those are my challenges as far as what my job description is and what the job description for the role of interpreter is. Next slide, Jim. Okay, what should your interpreter be? First of all, you've got to be diligent and attend the meetings. In order for me to answer your questions and present material to you, I need to be here. Secondly, I've got to be accessible when we aren't here, which means that my phone's got to be on, and hopefully, if you call, then I'm going to answer like I said. Got to have good communication skills. Got to have certainly a thorough knowledge of the rules of the NFHS rule book and case book. You've got to understand the next 3 points. 1, how the rule relates to the game. 2, how each rule relates to other rules in the book, because you've heard me say for years, it's not about just one rule, it's about several rules. I was fortunate enough early in my career to hear the editor of the rule book, Ed Stites, talk, and he drilled into my head the concept of it's not about the rule you're calling, but about the multiplicity of rules that are involved in what you're calling. You need to understand that. And last but not least, in the sequence, understand not just how the rule is written, but how it's literally interpreted in the application of the rule to the game. Because we don't cross T's and dot I's on the floor. We have to adapt every minute. And we don't understand that concept, we're not a very effective official. We have to have the ability to convey this information in a manner that can be understood thoroughly by all levels of officials. We have a wide breadth of levels of skill here. And when you call me, or I talk, or the interpreter talks, then that conversation needs to be so you understand it. The way I look at this situation in this group is I've got almost 400 assistant interpreters. And if you call me about a rule, or we talk about a rule, then I've got to convey the information back to you so that when you go out, you sell that rule to everybody else you talk about. And if I haven't done a good job of explaining that to you, then you can't do a good job of talking about it in the crews you work in. And last but not least, I've got to create an atmosphere of confidentiality. If you can't call me without feeling that I'm going to keep that call in my office and I'm not going to call 15 other people and say, you're not going to believe what Mike called me today and said, I just can't believe that, then we won't have an open and free discussion. So you know you're going to get that when you call me. Why do officials contact me? Well, first of all, they may have kicked a play. I wish more people would call because I hear more secondary talk about plays than firstary. But sometimes we all kick plays. Secondly, they've seen a ruling by some other crew that they didn't understand. They want a more thorough rule of the understanding of the rule that they didn't see or didn't understand the call on, excuse me. And last but not least, and I was thinking a little bit ahead of myself, they want to trick the interpreter. I call that the Fagley factor. And before you get your hair up on the back of your neck, Mike knew I was going to say that just to add a little humor. But those are the reasons. And when you call for that reason, then you've got to understand that the answer you get is going to be to the point, succinctly and specifically with the information that's in the rule and case book, and no beating around the bush. What you as an official should look for in the interpreter's answer? Well, first of all, are they right? Can you trust what the interpreter is saying? Secondly, does the answer specifically address what your question asks? Third, is the answer to the point? And fourth, does it come with some clarity? And as I just said a few seconds ago at the end of the conversation, do you feel like that you could take the explanation, the intent of the rule, and or the correct interpretation and apply it the way it's applied and discuss it with others? We're on the next slide. I'm sorry, I didn't realize you were the guy. What's a typical year like for the interpreter? Well, first of all, those of you that are close to me know this has not been a typical year for me at all. It just hasn't been typical. But as far as CVBOA has been, it has not been atypical. We've had another very successful training class. I've received more than 100 calls on rule interpretations. I wish there were more, but that's a lot. Personally, I've attended more than 40 games. Many of the referees have invited me into the locker room to have a post-game conference. There have been several officials that have called me and requested that I critique them in game situations. These critiques have included a culmination of a written evaluation, pictures of court positions, and one-on-one performance discussions, and I think they've been satisfied with the business at hand. And last but not least, the flow of information to the membership, the review questions we try to send out, the play situations, and other important information has remained consistent, even though I've been injured. What do I offer as the interpreter? 40 plus years of experience. The professional contacts at the national, state, and at the international level with IBO. Anytime we've got a problem with CVBOA and I don't know the answer, I can get to those people in a heartbeat and they respond to my phone calls. And then you have knowledge of the rule book and interpretations. This is going to be an inside joke, but I will give the reference to Mr. Archie Lee Harris, who used to be with us, when he said, I do have a love for this game, and I have a respect for the position. I'm available, and I'm honest, and I'm trustworthy. If I don't know the answer, I'm going to tell you I don't know it. I don't lie to you. You know that. Those of you that confronted me with the play that's confusing, I'll tell you. Never heard of that. But I'll get you the answer quickly. And your conversation never leaves my office. And why, last but not least, do I want to continue in this position? First of all, I really enjoy helping officials get better. Anybody who works close with me knows that, especially understanding the application of the rules as they relate to the game. Secondly, I was a 20-year educator. It means a lot for me to teach the class. I love to teach that training class. It's one of the highlights of my year. Plus, they make me a better official because they ask all those unencumbered questions that they don't know about when they start. Third, I really do enjoy passing the knowledge acquired from my mentors. I've had some great ones in my career and gained through the years of experience. And last but not least, certainly at this point in my career, it's time that I gave back, because 2 or 3 more years from there, I won't be here working with you guys and ladies. And if I don't do it now, then it's not going to happen. I was very fortunate to have people at that level give to me when I was coming through the ranks, and I want to make sure that I do that. So your vote will be very much appreciated. As I said, not today. I want to vote this year if I can, and I will certainly do anything. But let me just say something about Damon speaking to you, because I've said this before. It's good to have an interest by other people in all of our positions. We need that. We need the young blood. We just don't need it now, but we need it. I'm just a little joke. Just a joke. But we need more people in here stepping up and becoming active as board members, committee chairmen, and other things. We can never go wrong with that. And you out there, the young people in here, you are the lifeblood of this association. Okay? Don't push us old timers aside too quick. But we depend on you to encourage us, to motivate us to get better or to stay better. And, I plan on, somebody had asked me how long I plan on refereeing. Certainly my plans are probably a couple more years. But as I said when I started, I have a passion for this job and I'm not ready to give it up yet. So if there are any questions from the floor, I'll be glad to answer them for you.
Any questions for Mr. Stone? Questions? Going? Gone. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right, Damon.
Testing 1, 2. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rigolette Leeper. I'm running for treasurer. First thing, I'm not familiar with Alan Gravett, so I'm not here to talk about Alan Gravett's capabilities or anything else. So I'm quite sure he's a good person. He's been doing it for a while, and you get paid on time. So I'm quite sure he's doing his job. But I just want to take you through for a couple of minutes why I'm running. I've been on the board for 31 years, and those of you who work with me, I'm very forceful in my opinion. I'm very opinionated, as some people will understand. But when we start looking at the board, some of the things that we do, we did them 31 years ago. Exact same agenda, exact same meeting format, everything. So when it comes to running for treasurer itself, one of the things that doesn't happen is that you're supposed to be presented every year budget, an operating budget. The operating budget should tell you exactly what our expenditures will be this year. If we exceed those expenditures, we're supposed to come back in front of you and vote on them. Those things don't happen. So the reason I'm running is to make sure that the board itself is totally transparent. This is your board, not the executive board. So some of the other things that goes on, we all wear pink whistles during the month of February. But until no time I've ever questioned, do I want to take a game fee and donate it to Massey Council? Those type of things are what we need to do. We are an organization of 300 and some people, and we work in the community. So when someone walks up to you and says, what do CVBOA do for the community? What can you say? What do you really say? What do we do? I mean, we can sponsor the American Heart Walk. We can get into the diabetes walk. Those things, we can show the strength. So the schools can understand that we're not only refereeing, we're giving back to the communities. So some things that I want to change from inside. Damon talked about that. But when you vote for me, you're voting for change. If you're voting for status quo, stay with Alan. Alan is a great person. He does a great job. He pays you on time. I'm not here, I'm going to tell you honestly now with the system the way it's designed, the treasurer is a no-brain position. You don't have to think. The system does everything for you. But remember, the treasurer is an elected position on the office of the board. He has power on the board. So what you should be looking at, not at the individual, but what is the individual going to do for you on the board? Each one of these positions you're voting for are no-brainers, to be honest with you, other than Damien and what Jared does. Everything else that you're voting for tonight, you're just going through the motions. So you think about which person is really going to change the board. We look at the makeup of the board, we look at the age of the board. I'm a little dissatisfied that we actually have to repeat presidents. We had 300 and some people. We have the president serving 2 terms. Why? So you look at yourself, try to get involved. So I would like for your vote, I would like to have your vote. But this is what I want to do. So, anybody have any questions for me?
Yeah, I got one.
Go ahead, talk to me.
So are you advocating this change for the sake of change?
Change.
In some organizations, the treasurer is a very important job that we don't need to have someone different every end of the job. Now, I've been in the board 37 years, and I think we've had 3 treasurers.
Okay.
Why do you think you can do something that's better than Alan, or you just want to change the change?
Are you asking me a question or you really want to know my opinion? Because I still didn't hear a question. You just asked me what are my changes.
You want to change just for the sake of change?
As I said to you earlier, I don't understand where you're coming from, to be honest with you. But when we start looking at the board itself has to look at things, how we can do things different. So I hope I answered your question there. For any individual one point that I can put my finger on, I can put my finger on a lot of things, but that's not what I'm going to hold you up on. Those are things that happen in the executive board, and I bring it back to you.
Well, if you want me to vote for you, I have to know what if I have to vote for you, I'd like to know what the treasurer's not doing that you're going to do different.
As I said earlier to you before, apparently you didn't hear me. Alan Gravett is doing an excellent job. I'm not here to derail Alan because he's not doing his job. That would be easy for me to stand up here and say Alan doesn't do this and he doesn't do that. But none of you can tell me what Alan does because you don't know what he does. So I can't tell you if he's doing his job or not because you don't know what his job is. Only thing you know what you said was earlier, that's a good point. Because you've been in the organizations and the treasurer norm is a steady position. You've been here for 37 years, we had 3. Is that something you really want to be proud about?
As long as these guys do a good job, I have no problem.
Well, tell me what's a good job.
One thing, I get my money on.
That's what I said earlier. I said that earlier. The man pays you on time. So what's your next point? You brought up the points, I didn't. That's all I have. Talk to me.
The big
being more transparent, making sure you understand every dollar that's spent in this board. If somebody could tell me right now they know where every dollar is, raise your hand. Somebody can tell me now what's our operating budget, raise your hand. Besides you. So if somebody can tell me how much money was paid to the interpreter last year, raise your hand. You don't know, but other than you. You don't count, Jerry, you're on the executive board. But the membership. So thank you, everybody.
All right, before Alan goes, just a little plug. If you're interested in doing softball, see Al, and baseball is no, Danny Edwards. See Danny Edwards. All right, I want all of the folks who are running for at-large to come up here for me, please, so we can save a little time and be ready to go.
For those of you who don't know me, my name's Alan Gravitt. I've been a member of this board, proud member of this board for over 20 years. Been treasurer for 8 years now. When I took over as treasurer, we had a small checkbook and basically nobody took care of it at all. Since then, I have gotten us on ref pay. You guys get paid sooner than you did before. I create a budget which is presented to the executive board and approved by the executive board every year. The new website has our budget up to date. It has our financials with all our expenses up to date. Other than that, I can't say a whole lot. I've just tried to serve you guys the best I can. And I tell you, for your money, because it's your money. Try to get you paid as soon as you can get paid, because I know that's what all of you want. So I'd appreciate your vote. That's all I've got to say. Any questions?
Rick, where's Rigolette? Go see Arnie, please. Rigolette, go see Arnie. Does anyone have anything? Raise your hand so I can see you. Is there any discussion while the two men are out? Are there any hands? I don't see a single hand. Is there anybody? All right, hold on, Jerry. 1 second. Well, I just want to make sure, see if we had anybody. Oh, okay, go ahead.
Can I make an announcement? For those of you who know Bruce Fry, he used to be a member of this association, but dropped out a couple of years ago. He's still the commissioner of volleyball. Bruce has open heart surgery this week. He's doing well. If you knew Bruce and had a relationship with him while he was here, they reach out to him, send him an email or something, go on to CVBOA website. I know he appreciates it. Doing well. I think it's home. Alan's gone. But that's a pretty serious operation, so just thought everybody would like to know that.
Thanks, Jerry. All right, Sheriff Holmes, you can let them back in, no questions. All right, at large, we're going to have
Russell Jesse, Ferrio, come forward.
Jess.
Russell Jesse, Ferrio, come on.
All right, come on up, my man. All right, these are 6 individuals vying for 4 at-large positions. They have 5 minutes. It's going to be really quick. Let's go, guys. Russ. It don't matter.
All right, fellas, short and sweet. Rustin Jesse, been on the board 9 years. Started with most of these guys as my officials in high school, some of them in college. Went through the training class, moved back to Emporia, Virginia, so this is an hour and 15-minute drive. So to tell you I've been at every meeting, I'm lying to you. What I am going to tell you is the last 5 years have changed my life. With conversations with people that used to referee my games to now I'm refereeing with them. And just wanted to be a voice for the group of guys that are in that category around 8 to 10 years, maybe going back to 5 to 10 years. We have a great training program in place, have a great transfer program in place. We need to do a little bit more for guys that have been with the board 5 to 10, 5 to 12 years. I don't have all the answers, but I want to be a part of that conversation. I want to help guys get seen and ladies get seen. I want to help people move up if that's what their goal is. And at the end of the day, I want to be a voice for more people in that category, as well as anybody else that has anything to say about this board and the direction that we're going. Thank you.
Cameron.
For those of you who don't know me, I'm Cameron Gilbert. This was my 6th year in the board. I'm running for at-large because for several reasons. One, I think the executive board needs more representation from less seasoned or younger officials to have some input in the way things are run, and also to learn from the other people on the executive board, so that at the point where the older officials phase out or decide that they're done with those duties, there's not a vacuum of leadership. We need to make sure that we have people ready to replace the other people that have held these offices for a while in the instance when they decide that they are done with those duties. Otherwise, it can be a problem, you can have chaos. I also think we need to find ways to do more 3-man. Younger officials need to be doing 3-man and some JV. We've got to find a way to make it work. The training class is excellent and well run, but running 3-man for a few days or a week or a couple weeks and then doing exclusively 2-man all season, you lose a lot of that stuff. We need to try to find a way to sustain it and have it on a more regular basis so that when officials move up, they're ready. And also 3-man, I think, is better for the game. We need to try to find some solutions. So some of these JV games really need 3-man. And not just the doubleheaders in the country, the games in the city where these kids get up and down the floor, they could use it. I also think that if anyone in the board is not satisfied with their schedule or with the games they're receiving, they're entitled to an objective assessment of their abilities and skills, and entitled to some feedback to say, if you do these criteria and succeed in them, then you will get rewarded. My personal experiences, I went to Aaron and said, what do you need to see from me to improve? He gave me some things to do. I did them, and he gave me a better schedule. I respect that. I don't think anyone else's schedule is any of my business. So it's not a situation where, why do you have this critique from me that so-and-so is working in a different game? But I think all of us are entitled to say, if I want to improve, what do you need to see from me to elevate me into a better slate of games or to give me more games? That's something, if I was a member at large, I would strive to have everyone have. I'm also an attorney. It's nice to have a lawyer in your pocket. I can offer some help in some situations that come up if need be. It's not a bad thing. And lastly, there's been some tension on some of these elected spots. It's a little uncomfortable, to be frank. We're all colleagues at the end of the day. We should remember that. Like, even disagreements on how things should be run, it's not personal. And I will say, as a member at large, I'm not here to take a side or to be part of a group. I'm here to do what's best for the board, and I will act objectively in all things. That's all I have.
Thanks.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dawood Mills. I'm with the board since 2005, 2006. This is now my 24th year as an official in high school. I'm here today to ask for your vote at member at large. As everybody who's on the board and the executive board, they want to make a change, a difference. Damon made a couple good points, and this is not to push for his vote, but the AAAs, accountability, approachability, availability. Some of you out there wonder why you don't get the good schedules that you want, and you see a certain official out there who is, in your perception, not as quite as good as an official as you. It may be those three things. Your accountability, your approachability, your availability. If you're only available at 6, I guarantee you the commissioner can't give you the game that you want. If you're not approachable to the information that we give you as veteran officials, when we come to you and say, you may want to think about these things to make yourself a better official, whether it be JV, varsity, or if you want to go to college or MBA, those things. So I ask you to vote for me because I believe it's now my time to give back to the board that's given so much. I came into this board when Ed was the commissioner and he came into my game and he was in the back seat. I said, this is my audience, this is my time. I came off the court and he said, no, you can officiate a little bit. And from there, I did what a lot of you veterans have done and some of you young guys. I spent my time at Lancaster. I spent my time at Northumberland, Matthews. And then eventually I got to the AAA girls and I've been basically, for the most part, a boys varsity official. And I've had the fortunate ability to be on the Siegel Center floor. And what I want to do for you is if you want that chance, to put you down there. Because you're not getting paid much money, but it's a great feeling when you got 1,500, 2,000, if you're lucky, 7,000 fans saying, looking at you. Not that you're trying to be the spotlight or the biggest person on that court, but you're on that last game of the season, and it's a great feeling. So I want to be a member at large, so that voice that you want, that one day that you want to be that playoff official, that official that wants to go to college, I can be that voice and bring those ideas of how to improve our executive board so there are more of a voice for you. One of the things that I appreciate seeing from the executive board is that we've been more technology driven. I was a little disappointed when I moved here from Seattle, that's where I'm originally from. I don't think we put into approach the arbiter system. In 2003, 2004, we were already doing that in Seattle. And there was resistance on our board for that. And it's because some people had the old school ways. You know, you came in here, you broke down, and that was your game. And I want to see more technology driven, like the things that we do here, going to having webinars, being able to be more approachable with rules. So things that can help make you better. So again, I appreciate your vote, and thank you very much.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's Board 90. My name is Porfirio Chambers. If you don't know me personally, I've been officiating over 20 plus years. I've come from 3 organizations. However, most of my devoted time has been Board 90. There's a couple of things I just want to say because we do need a member at large that can help officials begin, I said 2 years ago, to set the whole board into 3 tiers. But the main focus right now with social media and the game itself and technology, the board is made from right over to the left of this organization. If you can't train the young officials the right way, we're wasting the senior citizens of just sticking around. I don't want to make time for somebody just sticking around. I have a reason to be a member at large. I've actually engaged myself as a member at large, and I'd like the board to engage themselves to make this better board. And the only way it's going to be a better board is that you have questions and answers to be asked instead of letting your leadership make decisions that you don't agree with because you haven't made any input. And you make input, you can make changes. There is a new day, there's a new way because it's AAA. I need your support, okay, when the election time frame opens, and I will continue to be your voice as a member at large. Thank you very much.
Hey, hello again. I just got 2 quick things. I didn't realize until last week that this was my last year, so I'm running again, so I didn't have time. I scribbled down a couple of notes. really just two things I'm kind of running again on. That is the continuation of the website, the webinar, getting information out to members to make CVBOA better. The other thing, which we talked about last summer as an executive committee, but I think we made very, very little progress, and Regulette brought it up, and that's becoming more active in the community. I think there's some things that we can do, whether it's volunteer to referee a basketball game or some charity. I think building our reputation, we're doing a lot for the on-the-court stuff. We need to do some things that will help kind of keep this board together and put us in a good light in the community. That's all I have. I would appreciate your vote. This is the last meeting. I do want to take the opportunity to thank Early for the sound system and supporting the last couple of meetings. And another really big thank you. Is Marfell here? Marfell Barnett. I'd like to thank him. We talked about getting this mycvboa.net like probably a week, or not a week, 3 or 4 weeks before the season started. He's the dude that got that thing off and running. And we talked about getting some more content and some more exciting things out there. I think we're gonna work through the summer together. I'm committing them to that. And hopefully we can get some other folks involved. And I think that's gonna just get better and better. And again, really appreciate his support. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm not going to stand up here and talk about myself. I'm going to talk about this board, the future of this board. It's fantastic that we have people wanting to run for other groups or other positions and other slots on this board. However, I challenge each of you, go look in the mirror before you vote and ask yourself, why do we have elections? Well, we do this every 2 years. This is just like interviewing for a job. So while you're interviewing me and all these other people who had the courage to run for an office, well, they could lose. But ask yourself, and by the way, I'm very proud of everybody in their presentations. Fantastic. We need choices. But ask yourself, when I look to vote for each position, which person is the most qualified, most experienced, most knowledgeable, has put forth an effort and has shown what they can do, or you think has the ability to do those things, and then honestly go vote. I've worked diligently for the last 5 years. I've seen gaps and divides in this group. Haven't talked about it much. I've bridged the first big gap. Jerry Stone was the one that said, we need to just go ahead and get a training committee to go do this training you all want to do. I jumped on it. I said, I'll do it. Vaughn says, I want to help. We got together, we got a committee together. I saw quickly we had too much to handle. So I asked Haywood Bostic, couldn't I ask a better person to help? That committee is doing a great job, but you know what? It's not good enough. Why? Because if we take the attitude of it's good enough, we're not going to continue to work harder and get better. Why are we in that position? Because we've had people. I've gone to Jerry when I've had questions on how to position, how to read the manual. I've gone to Haywood. Hey, what are y'all talking about in college? We're using the resources of the people who are the best at what they do at doing their job. So when you go to vote, look at the people and the position. Who is there to do the best job for the next 2 years? Because remember, a house divided is not a good thing. How can we bridge those gaps? How can we work together? I've gone out of my way. I ask 50, 60 people a year to come help with the training class, knowing if I get a person to help me 1, 2 nights, that's great. Really, that's all we need. But I've gone a cross section of this board: young, old, experienced, inexperienced, veterans, not veterans. We need to have those people involved, because the goal and the objective from the get-go on that training committee has been to make each official in here the best that they can be. Guys, is there something funny back there in the back? I didn't mean to interrupt your joke. I guess I did. They're still laughing. But we need to take everyone, high level, middle level, lower level, JV beginners, make them the best they can be. Then we can take them on to higher levels. If that person is working at the highest level that they can, then we can improve them some more. So again, with that, when you vote for these people, consider who's going to carry the mail, who's going to deliver the mail. Thank you very much.
All right. Those are your individuals running for those positions. Remember, if you're not a full-time member, you will not get an email to vote. So the provisional trainees and so forth, you will not be able to vote. Only the full members will be able to vote, right? I also have sent this out to those who will run, and I can assure you that we're going to have meetings all summer. Be prepared if you're on this executive committee. I sent out tons of emails and so forth. So don't think if you're running for these offices that February and March is it. No, it's not. No, it's not. It goes all the way through 12 months. Just because there's not basketball playing, it's 12 months. And I hold guys to that because I hold myself. I didn't call those 35, 40 schools last summer just for fun, to talk to ADs and principals to ensure that we had their contracts for the season. I didn't just do that just for fun. So if you're on this executive committee, you're going to work. Or I'll call you out, and these guys know that I will. Because I expect for you to call me out if I'm not doing the job. That's just the way it is. And I'm straightforward and transparent, and I'll tell you just like it is. It's the way it is. This is a business. Think about it. It's a business. And we have to secure these contracts so we won't have achy knees and fat bank accounts at the end of the season. All right, so those are the individuals who run past our time for some training, right? But I have got to let our commissioner give you his report, the end of the season, the regular season. After Aaron talks to you, Vaughn and Jerry will quickly go through the members who will be elected by you to be full members tonight. Those members will take effect June, so you will not be able to vote just because you get elected tonight. The bylaws require that time limit. The only reason we're doing it now because this is the last meeting of the season. Last meeting of the season. And there are some exciting things I have in mind during the summer. More webinars. You've only been here twice, right? I think you like that. More training, stuff like that, right? So we're moving forward. Mr. Commissioner, you ready?
Long and Jerry. Good evening, everybody. I first like to start with saying that it's a... All right. I don't even need it. Good evening, everybody. First, I want to always, like I always do, I want to thank you for a awesome season. I always say this, and I hope you guys feel it. I cannot do it by myself. I call several people all hours of the night. I call them in the middle of the day when they're not expecting to work. So again, I just like to say thank you for you guys that carry the water, so to speak. And again, we cannot do it without you. Now I have a new challenge for you. As I begin a new 2-year term I'd like to challenge all of you guys that consider yourselves veterans to not only choose to help when you want to, but consider it an obligation to give back to these young guys and get them to the level that they need to be at. I think if we begin to change our mindset a little bit, it'll change how we get involved, who becomes leaders, how we look on the floor. It should be an obligation. So just think about that a little while. Now, I have one person that has contacted me about not returning next year. And I consider it a personal honor if this young man would come forward, Mr. Roland Fagler. This young man took me to the country for my first go around. And, you know, like I said, I'd like to just say thank you, man. I know you work hard. He gave me my first ride down to the country, and we went by Pars.
Started on an injury, and I believe it kind of.
And he got injured in that game. And you know, I just want to say thank you for your service to the board. And I have to say, I have never received as many phone calls to say, let me run with this guy one more time before he leaves. And I just want to say, man, it's a pleasure. All right, thank you. Our regular season essentially comes to an end on Monday, 2/11. Now, that does not say we won't have additional games, because you know the private schools are on their own schedule. You may see some additional games. The games will be identified as postseason. We know the dress code. Okay, I ask that everybody adhere to the dress code. If someone in your group decides not to adhere to the dress code, it hurts us all. So please self-report. Before we go into postseason, I want to go over a few things, and this is things that come to me. And so I want, you ready, Jim? Yeah, let's get this video. Look at this video.
Clip, yeah.
All right, this is not a matter of who's in the game or anything, but we're getting ready to go into this transition play. And I think it's taking a little longer than we thought, but we're gonna get there. Okay. So, this is an important play. And don't worry about the film. Let me just explain it to you, okay? We're in transition. Our new lead is slower than the play. Our C is a little bit ahead. We have a shooter, an airborne shooter, goes in, and the contact is made right here. This young man goes into this wall. And this is the play that puts us in danger. Because sometimes we're looking up at this goal because the basket goes in. Sometimes we just don't get in the right spot. We're just not in the right spot. But this young man is hit, goes into this wall, and has a concussion. Okay? So whether that's your primary area or your secondary area, those are things we have to sit there and make sure we put a whistle on. So yes, I say stay in your primary. But there is a cadence. If I do like that and the primary person doesn't have a whistle, come in there and take care of business. We have to have a whistle on stuff like that. And that's the mindset that we need to carry into the postseason. Let's get these plays right. Let's get these plays right. Okay? So don't be afraid that if you know your partner is out of position, that's just your partner. Your partner's out of position. You're in the C, and you see something that needs to be called. Get that. Because that made my phone ring. Because we didn't take care of business. Okay? Have you do is shoot that email up here. This is the email from a concerned parent, and I share this with you.
It's the bottom.
Not to put anybody on blast, but I share this as a concern of a thought process that we don't need. And I'll read it. Hey, during the game tonight I witnessed something unsettling. There's no question we got hammered. We were down 38-0 with a few minutes left in the fourth quarter. After a timeout, the coach called the ref over, and myself, as well as the other table workers, heard him tell the ref to call some shooting fouls on the opposing team. A few minutes later, a ref did indeed call a few questionable fouls that allowed them to take 2 sets of free throw shots. After missing all 4 shots, the coach again called the ref and said something that I didn't quite catch, but one of the girls working at the tables heard something about technicals. On the next 2 foul shots, the same ref called technical fouls against blank that allowed more free throw attempts. I understand that he was doing a nice thing for our team, but all I can think of is how unnecessary, unsportsmanlike, and unprofessional it was. The core of my issue comes from a coach asking or telling an official to call a game in a way that was contradictory to the actual state of the game. It feels like cheating. I'm not asking anything specifically be done, but watching this made me uneasy, and I wanted to share it with you. Okay? Now, I won't guess what the thought process was. It sounds like they was trying to do something that they thought would make somebody feel good. But I fight all day for you, but it's based on the rule book. I cannot justify things like this. So please, stop trying to be the savior and treating people good. Treat them by the book. I can support you then. Do not insert yourself into a situation that you do not need to be in. It is unsafe. The people who you're trying to help don't even or wouldn't even appreciate that. So please do not take it on yourself to do anything like this. And I know some of you guys would say, I'll never do that. But I'm telling you, it's being done. This is this year. So please, stick to what's in the rule book. I'm going to wrap it up by, again, thanking you for a fantastic season. I know several of you received opportunities, and most of you rose to the occasion. Every now and then, people get opportunity, and they don't always raise up. And I understand that. That just means we need more time. But again, I appreciate all the veterans sticking with the young people that they have never worked with, bringing them along, and pouring into them. All right, I'm going to end. Did anybody have any questions of me? We'll have our state assignment shortly. I expect to have at minimum what we had last year. If not, we'll have more. I ask that everybody get a state pass. Whether you think you're going to be working the game or not, get a state pass. Come down and support the guys that we're going to have down there. It's going to be a whole lot of negativity. We need the support. And I say I'm not working, but we need the support. If you have not experienced being down at the Siegel Center, it's a great feeling, but it can make people uneasy. And we have a little section right there. Those of you who've been down there, come be a part of that section. I've had guys tell me, man, I look up at that section and I just feel at ease because I know my people there to support me. So if you haven't ordered a state pass, see Alan. He'll order your state pass, come down and support your board. All right, thank you.
All right, thank you, Aaron. Just a few things. State pass, you have until Friday, this Friday, to contact or send Alan an email for your state pass. There are 20, right? 20? 25 will be deducted from your end of the year. 25 for state pass, okay? All right, you ready, Vaughn? All right, give us, I know we're past 7:30, but it's the last meeting. We got to get this through.
All right, can I just have all the transfers that were accepted into the association to please step outside, go out that way. Zach Parker, Dwight Bragg, Charles Cooper, Dempsey, Chaz Darren, Jonathan Frazier, Sean Gershbach, Adrian Johnson, or Jameson, I'm sorry. The Johnson or Jameson? Huh? Jameson. Jameson, okay. Kenneth Kendrick, James Manning.
All right, quiet, guys.
Kevin Pierce, Juan Priest, Frankie Rodriguez, Julius Simmons, Tony Cirillo. Where are you, Tony? Terrence Stipp.
Good, Bob?
Yep. I have submitted a list of names who have met the qualifications as a transfer. Those names will be submitted. I'll tell you the ones who have been submitted for election into our board: Dwight Bragg, Salim Dempsey, Chaz Darren, Asia Jameson, Tony Mans, Keith Pierce, Juan Priest, Frankie Rodriguez, Tony Sherrill, Terrence Stepp. Those people met the qualifications as far as their attendance, Other people, we did have a lot of people that transferred in after we had our first 2 meetings. They were told that they would not be allowed to move forward. They understood that, but they came anyway. Aaron didn't use them. They will fall into associate category, and they will then become full members next year if they meet the meeting requirements. All right, do I have a motion to accept those names? Okay, Bob made the motion, and who seconded? You can't second. Anyone second? All those in favor,
All those in favor for vote these transfers in?
All those opposed?
All opposed? All abstain? So moved.
Thank you.
No, I vote yes.
Cliff votes yes. All right. I'm going to speed this one up. Norman, I'm going to go back on the recording Monday and get my attendance off of the website. All right, here's what I'm going to do. Bear with me. Trust me. Famous last words, right? When I call your name, simply stand. Do not leave. Stand and say, here. Robert Barnes. Absent. Brian Brookman. Absent. Robert Ferguson. Stand up and say here. Robert Ferguson, thank you. Norman Hart. Ashley Hill. Present. Boris. Boris is absent. Crystal Simpson. Present. Wynick Wooden. Present. Kiana Brown. Present. Travis Wolf. Present. Zach Chapin. Zach Chapin, he did not return. Josh Murray, inactive. Brent Rose did not return. Jasmine Smith did not return. Wally Carson. Present. Rodney Henry did not return. Bernard Alston. Absent. Jameel Anderson. Absent. Joe Leo did not return. William Johnson did not return. Isaiah Miller did not return. Michael Smith. Stand up. Michael Smith present. Andrew Cotman did not return. Keith Archer. Keith Archer. Thank you, Keith. Zachary Benjamin. Present. Jeffrey Bruce. Absent. Dana Carter. DC. Present. Jimmy Drayton. Louder. The microphone's got to hear you. Present. Antoine Fries. Antoine Fries. Sorry, Antoine. Twan. Present. Grayson Gilbert. Present. Ian Hunt. Present. Michael Katzman dropped out. Jelani Lawrence did not return. Nicholas Parnell. Absent. He's got to watch it online. He's out of town. Torrance Pullum. Did not return. Brandon Pugh. Absent. He's got to watch online. He also told us he was going to be absent. Aaron Reese dropped out. Courtney Courtney Chico. It's not N, it's SH, correct? Yes. Courtney, present. Louis Thorpe, present. Brandon Tucker, present. Clarence Reeder. Clarence Reeder. Robert Carrington, present. Okay, wait a minute, this is redundant, I think. All right, those are the provisional, associate, and trainees from this year. What I would like to do is I would like to somebody move that we accept all these people as presented on the board with the stipulation that we will make corrections as necessary and they'll be approved and looked at by the president for attendance purposes, etc. So moved. Bob Williams, second. Grayson Gilbert. All those in favor, aye. All those opposed? Motion passed unanimously. I would like all of the people we just voted on, trainees, associate, provisionals, meet over there behind Jerry Stone when we dismiss, please. Yes, sir? All right. Vaughn, you want the transfers over there too?
No, I've already talked.
You all set? Mr. President, thank you very much. Thank you for all your help, big brothers, big sisters. If you're a big brother, big sister this year, please stand up. Give them a big hand. All these people, big brothers, big sisters, couldn't do without you.
All right, if Gene Connors is here, see Vaughn Quash, please. Hey guys, thank you for your season. You'll be hearing from me. Please police your area, trash, pizza boxes, chairs, take care of all that business. Adjourn.